Hello again, Will Boss here. I just want to make a quick video on EMF frequency, electromagnetic frequency radiation. More because we've had several questions about this recently. Things around your house, waiting to protect yourself, some of the myths, truths. I want to get that out there. I want to start by saying that the technology that's out there has drastically improved our lives, increasing the way that we communicate around the world. But with that, we are getting a higher exposure to EMF radiation. So what is it? EMF is a form of radiation energy that propagates both as electrical, magnetic waves that travel in packets of energy called protons. That's all I'm going to do is sum that up. The reason that we are more concerned about this is because in 2002, the International Agency for Research on Cancer, the IARC, part of the World Health Organization, published a monograph that classified EMF as possibly carcinogenic. We'll talk about that more later on. But basically, to sum that up, they said if you are in a house that has 0.3 to 0.4 microteslas average throughout the day, your children have a twofold increase in childhood leukemia. So that's something they found from for a study, and that's where that classification came from. So I'm going to tell you some of the common sources. We're going to go into kind of your exposure rate, but understand that 0.3 to 0.4 microteslas, everywhere you go around the house is very rare that you would have that consistently. And that's more for people that are living right next to some of the high tension wires and stuff. We're going to show you some basic readings of the things around your house, and again, ways you can protect yourself. So basic things around you, things like Wi-Fi devices, cell phones, tablets, smartphones, electrical wiring, refrigerators. We're going to talk about those. Those are all things that are giving off the EMF, magnetic radiation. So what can you do? Distance. Many smartphone manufacturers actually recommend keeping your cell phone just a few centimeters away from your body at all times. This matters because of the nature of energy. Radiation will travel stronger. It's stronger if you are closer to the source. Okay, so the actual intensity is related to distance. So for example, if you're 2 inches away from a source, you'll receive a quarter of the amount of radiation exposures if you were just 1 inch away. And if you were 4 inches away, you would receive just 1/16 the amount of exposure as opposed to being 1 inch away. So a small distance really does matter, and we'll show that later on. So I'm going to show you some readings of things basic around the house. So we'll start up first. I've got a real simple one I bought here. I'm not pushing this. This is just one that you can buy. As an example, I think it's like $30. Smart sensor. Again, it will show temperature up to about 50 degrees C, which is 50 degrees C is like 122 Fahrenheit, something like that. So right now we're getting about 21 here. 0.0 microteslas right now in the house. However, my laptop is right here, so I'm going to show you. As we get closer to our laptop, again, right on top of it, as high as like around 2.02 microteslas is we're getting from a laptop. We'll talk about that in 1 second once we show some other basic things around the house. Here we've got a dishwasher that's running. So right on top of the dishwasher, again, pop up 0.6, get a little further away, and again, it's going to dissipate to nothing once we get a little further and further away. Again, so we're just getting that a few inches away. Refrigerator is also going to tick up something. Again, about 0.7 if you're right by the actual electronics in there. You get further away from those. Again, less and less and less. Microwave. People are very concerned about microwaves. Right here, if you're using it right as a clock, I've got it set for just 25 seconds as an example. But again, we're getting nothing, okay? It's not running. It should make sense. But again, I want to dispel any of the myths there. It doesn't just give off radiation while it's just sitting there. So if we go ahead and we hit start, we're going to hit huge readings right away. I'm seeing a thing as high as 100, okay, right in there. Some huge readings in there. Again, I turn it off and it goes away. Okay, so this is something that you want to be aware of, but you're also going to get readings from things like an oven, boilers, things like that. But again, it's off. We use ours more as a timer. I'm not telling you to get rid of your microwave, but just something you should be aware of. So getting back to our laptop, they do sell products that you can buy, that you can use as a kind of a distance if you do like to put your laptop on your lap actually while you use it. But honestly, that little bit of distance, and I'll show you again. So right here, 0.7, you pull it over away, and again, just a few inches away. Something like a pillow is really enough that will help kind of block that distance from the electromagnetic radiation. So not just setting it directly on your lap or directly on your skin. So cell phones, many people keep them on their person, right in their pocket. Women keep them in their bras next to their chests. Something, about 3 inches away will be enough to keep that distance away. Will be enough to limit the exposure there. So if you have to phone, again, there are protective pads you can buy out there. I'm happy to make recommendations, but really just a couple distance. Try to use your cell phone on speakerphone if you can, if it's an option. Router, keep your routers away from your main sleeping areas. So an area you don't use very often, it's actually going to give that off. And lastly, something like that, like electrical blankets, heaters. I really kind of push those away. If you gotta have a increase your heat in your house or something, but the actual heaters that you're wrapping yourself in, you're also encasing yourself into a emitter. So microwave ovens, again, as you saw, they give off massive EMR fields. Limit the use of microwave ovens you can. Again, I'm not telling you to get rid of it, but toaster ovens, honestly, your food tastes better if you use a toaster oven. If you've got a baby monitor, try to avoid using the wireless baby monitors if you can. They emit similar amounts to a cell phone. If you've got one, again, just keep it away from the baby, not right on top. Some people put theirs right on top of their cribs. Unplugging appliances while you're not using them really helps. So again, that smart sensor that I have is just one example, but there are other ones that are out there that are great. This is a super cheap one, but you can buy a really advanced one out there. So again, even if you do solve all the issues of electromagnetic radiation that's in your house, there's still possibility that your house is being bombarded with electromagnetic radiation because outside, sometimes your neighbors, low frequency radiation, high voltage wires are next to your house. Sometimes it's high frequency sources. I don't recommend getting a cell phone tower in your backyard. I know that there's cell phone companies will pay you significant money to have one out there right in your backyard. But ultimately, you want to understand that your chances for having exposure to 0.3 to 0.4 microteslas is rare. And the classification also for possibly carcinogenic by the World Health Organization, it's the same classification for things like dry cleaning chemicals, diesel fuel, and many types of pesticides. But it's not classified as high as probably carcinogenic. So that would be like a 2A. So that's something like, which is weird, they have drinking hot beverages in there in 2018 was classified. Anabolic steroids is also classified as a 2A. Now finally, I do want to sum up saying that with all these new technologies that are helping us connect with more and more people, provide faster access to information, but with these new technologies, we're being exposed to more EMF radiation. But by being aware of the potential danger out there, you can easily protect yourself or lower your exposure. Now, thank you very much for watching, and I open and welcome to any all questions.